Good morning, everybody. We are back. The jury has a question. We'll bring that up in a second. Share screen. Right now they are at sidebar. We're going to go back just a tiny bit and see what the judge had to say. Good morning to everybody on Twitter. The judge has a question in the case. They are currently at sidebar. So we will see what's going on here. This comes 11 hours, 5 minutes into their verdict deliberations. Glad to see everybody on YouTube. Let's hope a few people from Facebook and Twitter pop in. This is just a jury question so far. Hey, I'm Clean Hands. It does not look like it is a verdict. It looks like it is a jury question. And yes, we have a sidebar. First sidebar in a while. So let me put up sidebar. For those new to us, we keep track of the sidebars whenever they're in session. And looks like they're coming out of sidebar right now.
Bob, I can't do this. I can't do this.
So it's just a jury question. Hello, Mr. Pants.
Hello. You looked lonely.
Yes. Nothing actually going on. It's not a verdict as far as we can tell, or a mistrial or anything like that. Just a first jury question. They're going to happen from time to time. Just a reminder that the court is not in session Thursday, Friday this week. So if we don't have verdict by tomorrow at 4 o'clock or so, we're not going to have a verdict till at least Monday. That said, it looks like there's a lot of discussion on the part of the defense. Good morning, Gia.
Morning.
Karen Reed seems very agitated. Mr. Alessi, it looks like they are making their points to each other. Meanwhile, in the background, my nephew found one of my Amazon music playlists of 90s music. So the 7-year-old was rocking out to the sounds of the 1990s. The last song was Keep 'Em Separated. Pretty Fly for a White Guy is later on the list. So, fun times, fun times. This is what you get when I babysit. He is currently flying around as Iron Man in Roblox. But for this case, wow, thank you. The 179 folks over on X are joining us for the first time. This is our Karen Reed coverage. We have been doing coverage for the past 2 years of this case. We normally sit with the trial through the whole day of proceedings. We also do a nightly 8 o'clock show, which we will be discussing this case tonight. It looks like they are circling again on the defense side. With Mr. Jackson maybe gonna go to the podium. Unlike last year, Karen Reed this time around is very much a part of her defense team. She's in fact calling the shots. She even suggests motions for them to put in, like on Friday. She wanted to be the one who picked out the alternate jurors from the spinning wheel. That would have meant
What?
she was on camera doing the lottery ball style drawing and
That's
picking out
not
each
how
juror.
that works.
Yes, well, that's what the judge told her. Also, yesterday, there was quite some discussion over the verdict forms, where she didn't like the style of verdict form because it only has one slot for her guilt per charge, while multiple slots for the ones that call for it. She wanted changes with more apparently more slots for not guilty. The judge denied that request as well because they did them in the standard pattern for those Massachusetts cases. And they couldn't find precedent for anything she was asking for. She does seem quite agitated right now.
Counsel, what I'd like to do is I'm just going to read the questions to you now. So please take your seats. So I'm going to read the questions. I'm going to have them marked. Then I will take a short recess, let you all talk about it, and then come back.
Thank you.
So,
Don't mock the
all right,
questions.
so I received 3 questions from the jury. The first one is, they appeared on note cards, so that I don't know what order they came in, but this is the order I got them. This is the order I'm going to read them. What is the time frame for the OUI charge? Offense 002, Section 5, OUI at 12:45 or OUI at 5 a.m.? The second, are video clips of Karen's interviews evidence? How can we consider them? And the third, does convicting guilty on a subcharge, example offense 2 number 5, convict the overall charge? So I will give you some time to consult. I think the first one, I'll hear from you as to what the time frame is, and I don't need to hear from you now. That's pretty clear cut what they're looking for. The second one are video clips of Karen's interviews evidence. How can we consider them? Well, we know they are evidence and they can give them whatever weight they want. I would also be inclined to give a humane practice instruction, and tell me if you want the digital evidence instruction. It's a little awkward because it would be something like, before you consider any electronic communication in your deliberations, you must first find that it is more likely true than not that the person who appeared in the communication was in fact Karen Reed. So think about that when I come back out. But I think it's appropriate to give a humane practice instruction, and also tell me what you think about what to say about the weight. The third question is a little bit more, I think, unclear as to exactly what they're looking for. Does convicting guilty on a subcharge, example offense 2 number 5, convict the overall charge? What I'm proposing, I gave you both a verdict slip where I included the language. I know yesterday I said they have to be read hand in hand, the jury instructions with the verdict slip. I've incorporated the language from the jury instruction into the verdict slip. I've given each side a copy. When I come out, I'd like your input on whether you think this is appropriate. I would instruct them, as I did before, that they start at the top and work their way down. That's the only thing I did not specifically put in here, but I think it takes it step by step, an analysis to do it. So how much time does the defense want to be able to respond to me?
Perhaps 15 minutes.
Okay. And the Commonwealth?
That will suffice.
Okay, so it's 7 past. Why don't I come out at 25 after, give you 20 minutes?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wow.
Well then.
Okay. So we were, well, she said 7 past. Yeah, she's right. I'm looking at verdict clock going, what? That's the time. No, it is 7 past. So we're going to be with this. We're going to have a response in about 20 minutes, folks. Therefore, we have just enough time probably to get a drunk girl reaction
Good.
while we're waiting.
Telling the questions they asked.
Well, the questions, as Kova said in our YouTube side chat, the asking about a sub question or sub category, if she's found guilty of the subcategory, is she guilty of the overall offense? That's a bad sign for Karen Reed. That means she's
Yep.
not going to be acquitted of all charges, it looks like. It looks like they are seriously considering, at least I think that was count 2. They're seriously considering a conviction on that. Also, the fact that can her video testimony be taken into account, or her video statements? They're not testimony. They were the 400 hours of audio audio and video she did for these various interviews over the past 2 years. Can they be considered evidence?
The thing I'm confused about is, wouldn't both of those have been explained just like painfully explicitly in the jury instructions?
Yes. But again, look what we did. Look at our article yesterday on DMA. How straightforward was that? It was literally line by line fact about that case. Yet there were, I mean, you read it as clear as you could possibly read it. And yet we still have fundamental misunderstandings about the case.
It seemed like editorial drivel to me.
Well, yeah, but still.
And Jackson was gonna put all her statements into context, which he never did.
Yes, that was another thing Mr. Jackson never did. Just like Mr. Jackson was going to prove that their own witnesses put John in the house. No, they never did. And other things that he promised and didn't carry through with.
Before you went live, I made the mistake of opening up Law and Crime, and so I caught sight of their comment section scrolling by, and I need a hug. These are scary people.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
Law and Crime and Court TV tend to be very pro Karen Reed.
Yep.
So
I can't look at it. It just makes me too angry that people are so delusional or just stupid.
It's like trying to go into the Turtle Boy area on our Discord forum.
Really.
You enter a different world. Oh boy. We do have a Discord forum, folks who are joining us over on Twitter. I know most of our YouTube users are usually within our Discord forum. The Discord name, I'll stick it on the screen in a second. If I can ever find my mouse, is Really Cool Newswire. And everybody's welcome at our Discord server. We talk about auditing, auditors, and the Karen Reed case. We also have a lot of fun with side stuff. Like Pants is our newsreader every morning for the latest news and updates, and he does his outtakes there. Gia has her bingo words going on. How's that going, Gia?
Can people
And
find it by just searching for the name, or should we post
yeah,
a
you can
an
search.
invite link?
You can look for Really Cool Newswire. Do a search for it. Yes.
Oh, it's a publicly community, whatever that's called.
Yeah, our Discord server is public.
Huh.
It's
I've never
yeah.
actually joined a public one. I've always found an invite somewhere.
You've been in ours for years now, Pants.
Yeah, but somebody invited me there.
Right. Well, you can just
I
come by
I don't
playing.
understand computers, Jim. You have to understand. I'm 48 years old now. I don't. This technology thing is too brand new for me.
Right. Well, you grew up with it. You are generation Y?
No, I'm Gen X.
Oh, okay.
Gen X goes up all the way to people who are just turning 45 now.
Oh, okay. So they've changed it a bit. Yes,
I've
19,
lost track of all of them.
1980 is about the cutoff.
while Gia herself is generation original. She's the OG
Yes.
generation.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
They broke
She-
the mold after they made Gia.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right.
Thank God they did.
So for those joining us, we are in we have questions from the jury right now, basically asking if Karen Reed's video statements are evidence, if convicting on a lesser count is an overall conviction on the charge, and what was the third one? Do you guys remember
So-
the third one?
The time frame of the OUI charge.
Okay, the time frame of the OUI charge. So it sounds like they are seriously considering everything and does not look like, at least from our scant look into the jury, that it's going to be a full-on acquittal. There were rumors that Karen Reed's camp was largely thrown after yesterday when no acquittal immediately came back. And at
Jackson
some
was
point,
not happy. Shush!
yes,
Shush, you all! Shush! Get out of my way!
Those
Yeah,
cameras
but
are
then
heavy as shit. Whatever that
Yes!
means.
Get out of my way!
but then she goes and stops and talks to a reporter she knows on the way out because she got a quote. Let's go over the counts. Karen Reed counts. One second, folks. Again, we're with you 8 o'clock tonight for our normal show. We'll be talking about Karen Reed trial. We'll be watching some drunk girl videos. And we'll be having a lot of fun tonight. Last night we did a super spectacular Pants' birthday extravaganza. If you want to go check out that, you can on our YouTube channel. It should be up, and last night was not monetized, so any donations will help out. You can read in the description on our YouTube page on how to donate. I'll have those links up in a bit. And of course, my browser is being hung up on right now. And again, for those joining us, we just got 3 questions from the jury. The defense and the prosecution teams are coming up with a reply right now. They'll both be able to present, and the judge said they'll be back in about 10 minutes or so.
I'll be back.
You'll be back. Oh, come on. Allow ads. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so count one, or offense one, is murder in the second degree. They have the choice of not guilty or not guilty, guilty of offenses charged, murder in second degree. Count two is manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. They have the choice of not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense, guilty of offense as charged, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence, with two options under that: manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, and or while operating a motor vehicle with blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. The third choice of that: guilty of lesser included offense, involuntary manslaughter. Guilty, 4 is guilty of lesser included offense, motor vehicle homicide, felony OUI, liquor and negligence. And then under that, motor vehicle homicide by operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, and or motor vehicle homicide by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. I believe this next one is what they have the question about. Guilty of lesser included offense, operating under the influence of liquor. There's two choices there: operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, and or operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. The third charge is a simple one: leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death. For that, they have not guilty or guilty of offenses charged, leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death. So it's the second one that they had the question about. And number 5, guilty of lesser included offense, operating under the influence of liquor. So, not sure what they have the question about on that one, but the actual question was, can she be guilty of something without being guilty of the main charge? And it's a yes on that, I believe. Otherwise, the other questions were, what's the time frame of the OUI, and can her video statements be taken as evidence? So they'll have the time frame, and the judge already said yes, that her statements can be taken as evidence.
And as always, why would she do those interviews?
Yeah, if the interviews are already causing problems, wow.
They always call. Should have kept her mouth shut.
Yeah, she shouldn't have been doing anything like that, but I don't know, she's a weird one.
The weird one.
This time
Mr.
around,
Grinch.
this time around, she didn't have the support system she had of influencers directly, quote unquote, influencing the public. Last time she had Turtle Boy out there with a megaphone. And then she had, after the split from Turtle Boy, She had others doing the same sort of things for her. This
Oh, she
time
had some
around,
kind of split with Turtle Boy?
yeah, when he got charged with all the witness intimidation charges.
Yeah.
I was barely following all of that.
Oh yeah, and it should be sidebar 1. Yeah, they had to break ties with him because he picked up something like 13 or 20 felony witness intimidation charges. He
And
goes
then he pled
on
the
trial.
fifth.
Yeah, in this case. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, he is facing the 20 charges, and since they all involve a murder trial, the possible penalties for all of them are doubled in the state of or the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So he is actually facing way more time than Karen Reed will get for this case if she's guilty of the charges. They're outside again. The video you're seeing now is her supporters outside the courtroom. It doesn't look to be as many as yesterday, but later in the day the crowd does tend to grow with people being out of work.
Oh, so they lifted the exclusion zone?
I believe so, yeah. Though they've asked in the past for the crowd to remain quiet because last time the jurors couldn't hear the crowds chanting while they were deliberating. Ciro asked, do you think they watch these pink shirts? I would hope so.
So did they move the buffer zone again?
Looks like they took it down.
I guess they... Because before they had to be like a block away or 2 blocks away.
Right. Right now, it doesn't look like they're doing anything for that.
Tyrants.
Yes.
I wonder if anybody will wear pink after the verdict.
Well, if it's
Salvation
guilty,
Army's going to have like thousands of pink shirts.
well, if it's guilty, they supposedly already have a lawyer signed up for any possible abuse.
Oh, of course. It's already It's already in Jackson's briefcase. Because they wouldn't change the verdict slip, because they wouldn't let her pick the alternates, because the guy didn't have a degree and he said he did.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yes, his LinkedIn profile is going to be a big part of it.
Can Jackson represent her on the appeal?
I think they'd actually hire an appeals lawyer specialist.
Yeah, he's not an appellate attorney.
Yeah.
Wow. Go home to your wife, Alan.
Serial is noting that she hates pink. Not clear if that is the singer or if that is... So again, for those joining us, the jury had questions. We're currently awaiting Judge Noni to return. She was scheduled to return right now, believe it or not, 11:25 a.m. So we should have some action. This is not a verdict. Just to be clear, it is not a verdict. It is just questions by the jury. We wanted to know when the OBI time frame was if Karen Reed, if her statements played in court were evidence, and if she's convicted of a lesser part of an offense, is she guilty of the main offense? And that goes to count 2, which has 5 parts.
Do any of these people have jobs?
I'm sure some do.
Okay.
But should we get you a purple wig so you can go out there and pink and purple?
I don't understand how these people can dedicate days, months to just standing outside. Call in sick. I gotta go stand outside.
I'm just not a fan of pink since we tried to dye my hair pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month a couple of years ago. And I had a reaction so bad I almost died.
Oh God, it was horrible.
I literally was partially blind for like 2 weeks.
Awesome. Oh, yes, sir. No, no.
The little officer hats are so cute.
There you go. I'm assuming that was you, Pants, and not somebody else. And we're back.
All right, so I will hear you on the first question, the time of the OUI. Any suggestions?
Your Honor, do you want to hear from the defense first?
I'll hear from you're standing up, so I'll hear from you first.
Okay. On question number 1, what is the time frame for the OUI charge, offense 002, section 5, OUI at 12:45 or OUI at 5 a.m.? Our suggestion would be something along the lines of, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have the evidence. It's your decision.
You are the fact finder.
You're the fact finder.
Mr. Brennan, or whomever from the Commonwealth,
My suggestion would be 12:45.
and why is that?
The case has always been focused at that time. I don't think there's anything specific in the indictment though regarding the time.
Do we have the indictments?
No.
If it's not in the indictment, I'm uncomfortable telling them a time.
I'm sorry?
If it's not in the indictment, I'm uncomfortable telling them a time.
Understood.
All right.
I agree with the court on principle. I just don't have the indictment memorized, so I don't remember if we can pull that up.
There's no time? I don't expect that there's any time to be.
All right, so I'll say you have the evidence, and remember, you are the fact finders, or something to that effect. All right. Are the video clips Karen's interviews evidence? How can we consider them? So I'll tell you what I was planning on saying, then you can add to it.
Sure.
Yes, the videos are evidence. Give them whatever weight you think is appropriate to give them. And then I would give the digital evidence instruction and the humane practice instruction.
The only thing I would respectfully ask the court to include in that sentence is give them whatever weight, if any, you deem appropriate.
All right.
If any.
Okay.
Thank you. Otherwise, it's fine.
Okay. What's the Commonwealth's position?
We have a different perspective on that.
Okay.
The first part of the
Oh,
question,
goody.
are the video clips of Karen's interviews evidence? The answer should be yes.
Okay.
How can we consider them? I think it's fair to say you should weigh the defendant's statements as you would evidence. Since they've been introduced substantively, they are like any other piece of evidence. There's no difference, and there shouldn't be any reflection of a difference in the answer. We didn't introduce any evidence in this case and say you should give it any weight, if any at all. We didn't provide a limiting instruction in any way, and these shouldn't be so limited. This is just like a photograph. It's no different than a physical piece of evidence. And so I think the answer should simply be yes, you should weigh the defendant's statements as you would any other piece of evidence. I do not think the court should give humane practice or digital evidence. It suggests that there's some deterioration or further analysis that is different. Those instructions were already given during the charge. In addition, those instructions are in their hand in the written jury instructions. And so, to put it most simply, as I think that we should, is this is a piece of evidence, and you weigh it like you weighed any other piece of evidence, whatever they decide, rather than give them guidance to curtail it or to limit it in any fashion.
My only suggestion, Your Honor, is that every single piece of evidence that's provided to them, it's in keeping with Massachusetts laws, in keeping with the responsibility that they have. Every single evidence is given the weight, if any, they deem appropriate. That is not a misapplication of the law. I think the Commonwealth's suggestion suggests in the answer that they should or they have to give those statements weight, and the law is they don't have to give them any weight. So I think the appropriate comment by the court is exactly as the court suggested initially, which is you give it whatever weight, if any, you deem appropriate.
Again, folks, this is not a verdict. This is just a series of questions from the jury. Judge Bev is formulating how to reply to the three questions. Number one, what's the time frame of the DUI? Number two, can her video statements be considered evidence? And number three, if she is guilty, or if they find her guilty of a lesser charge, is she guilty of the overall charge? And we'll be back with you at 4 o'clock this afternoon, should there be no verdict, to wrap up the day. Obviously, if there's a verdict, we will jump right back in immediately.
Right.
For those on Twitter.
So what I'm going to say is, yes, the videos are evidence. You should weigh the defendant's statements as you would any other piece of evidence and give them whatever weight you deem appropriate. But first, then I'll go and I'll read the electronic communications and the humane practice. That covers it.
I don't have a principled objection to it if the court adds the word "if any,"
I understand.
because I don't want them to think, for instance, the way that it's worded as the Commonwealth suggested it, they have to weigh it the same way they weigh other pieces of evidence. Every single piece of evidence is weighed in and of itself. It's individual to the piece of evidence that's presented. For instance, they could weigh the statements by Ms. Reed. They could give it no weight. Each individual juror could decide, I'm going to dispatch it altogether and give it no weight, while giving another piece of evidence, like whatever that might be, the testimony of one of the ARCA witnesses, complete weight. I think that we need to stress that the clips bear no additional weight, no additional gravity than anything else that they've considered. And the only way to do that is very simply, you give this the weight, if any, that you decide is appropriate. It doesn't, I think, comparing it and contrasting to other
completely encapsulated
to
by the
pieces
word
of evidence in the
whatever.
case, it's unnecessary, and it tends to suggest they have to give it weight.
Okay. So your objection's noted. Now let's get to the third one. Does convicting guilty on a subcharge, example offense 2, number 5, convict the overall charge? What do you want to say, Mr. Jackson?
Your Honor, I appreciate the effort that the court went to amend the verdict slip as it relates to count 2, and I think there are some excellent suggestions by the court in the verdict slip. By and large, I think question number 3 is answered by the amendments in the verdict slip. So we certainly could say something like, does convicting guilty, the question was, quote, does convicting guilty on a subcharge, example offense 2, number 5, convict the overall charge? The answer is no, obviously. And perhaps we could formulate an answer that says something along the lines of, no, new verdict slips have been provided that will make it more clear, or something of that nature. As well as a decision of guilty on the OUI charge 002, number 5, is an explicit acquittal on the higher charges in offense 002, which is a proper statement of the law. And then there are suggestions that we have regarding the edits that the court has made to the verdict slip. And I'm happy to go over those with you and put those on the record.
Okay, go ahead.
With regard to going from the top to the bottom, just under number 1 reads, not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense. We would propose that the court add the language, the consistent language that it's added throughout the verdict slip. If you, quote, if you find the defendant not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense, comma, stop and sign the verdict slip, period. That's the only place that that language doesn't appear, and I think it should appear.
Okay.
The second is a relatively minor issue. However, under number 2, sub 2, the parenthetical check one or both of the following, I think it should say, just to clarify it further, if guilty, comma, check one or both of the following.
All right, I think I'm going to leave it because it appears only under the guilty.
It appears only on?
Under the guilty. So go ahead, I'll hear you further.
Going further, going under number 3, toward the bottom of the page, in the parenthetical that the court suggested, which we find is excellent, if you find the defendant guilty of the lesser offense of involuntary manslaughter, we would simply add that clause.
So we'd have to add it in all of them.
Correct.
Which makes sense. I think
Correct.
we had it in the first one.
Right.
Okay.
And then moving to page 2, at the top of the page under sub 4, again.
Hold on one second.
Of course.
Okay.
We had the same suggestion. It appears that the court is not inclined to give it. If guilty, check one or both of the following. And there's a typo. It says the parenthetical
We fixed it.
Check one of. Okay.
Yes, so we changed of to or.
So my only suggestion to that would be to, again, add the if guilty, comma, check one or both of the following.
Okay.
The 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 32nd, 33rd, 34th, 35th, 36th, 37th, 38th, 39th, 40th, 41st, 42nd, 43rd, 44th, 45th, 46th, 47th, 48th, 49th, 50th, 51st, 52nd, 53rd, 54th, 55th, 56th, 57th, 58th, 59th, 60th, 61st, 62nd, 63rd, 64th, 65th, 66th, 67th, 68th, 69th, 70th, 71st, 72nd, 73rd On that page, going down to the bolded parenthetical, same thing. If you find the defendant guilty of the lesser offense of motor vehicle homicide.
Okay?
Moving down under sub 5, the
We still
OUI.
need to say stop and sign the verdict slip.
Right. After the word stop, stop and sign the verdict slip.
Yeah,
And then under sub 5, again, the same thing. We just suggested that for consistency that it say, if guilty, check one of the following of the both. And the final edit would be in the final parenthetical, the last sentence. If you find, I think her should be
Yeah.
changed to the defendant. If you find the defendant not guilty on this offense and all other offenses, check the first box on page 1.
okay?
And those are the edits that we have suggested for the verdict
All
slip.
right. Mr. Brennan?
I don't have any disagreement with the edits.
Okay,
The idea of instructing them on the nuance of selecting one guilty or not guilty, I don't think needs to be explained. I think with the edits, this proposed instruction explains it.
all right. What I,
I don't have any issue with if you state, if you decide on a lesser included offense, it does not include the earlier offense. And I'm not sure of the exact language that can be used. I don't think that's necessary, but that is something I wouldn't have an objection to. But I think the form that you filled it out with the edits is going to be sufficient for them to follow.
what do you think about the defendant's position that if you were to find her guilty of operating under the influence, Mr. Jackson said explicit acquittal. I don't like that language. I think if you find it, it means you have found her not guilty of each of the others.
That would be fine with us.
I think it's better if you find her guilty of any lesser included offense. It would not include the higher offense.
All right.
I think that's just confusing.
So what I planned on doing was bringing them out and giving them each a copy of the amended verdict slip, explaining that it really is consistent with the jury instructions I gave them, but walking them through it. So we start from the top and then explain, if you find the defendant guilty, you're done. Stop, sign the verdict slip, and let the court officer know you have a verdict or something.
I prefer that.
Yeah, I think I'll walk them through it like we do in civil cases.
I don't have any objection to that. The only other thing is the digital instruction.
Yes.
We don't believe that it's necessary. I don't think that we should reemphasize that, and we're not asking for it. That
All
would
right,
be-
so you're waiving it?
We're waiving it.
Okay.
Yes,
All
thank
right,
you.
I will do humane instruction, humane practice instruction. So I need 5 minutes, and Tori, your computer, to amend this if we can, and we'll make copies, so we'll bring the jurors in. Let them know that we'll be bringing them in shortly, Tony. All right, thank you.
Okay, first, thank you for Pants for joining us. He's got to get going. Yeah, again, this is not a verdict. These are just jury questions. The judge needs another 5 minutes to revise what she's going to tell the jury in response to the 3 questions. Those being, what's the time frame of the OVI charge? Can Karen Reed's video statements be taken as evidence? And 3, if if they find her guilty of a lesser offense, is she guilty of the overall offense? So that's specifically charge 2. Charge 2, of course, is the one dealing with manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. What do you think of this development, Gia? Is it a bad sign that the jury is asking about guilt?
Yes. Zoe says so
And
too.
I hear Zoe. Zoe is
Yes.
quite
She's wearing
animated
a.
today.
Yes. She's wearing a Convict Karen Reed t-shirt.
There you go. There you go. It's not pink, is it?
No.
So yeah, what's going to happen here is the judge is going to be back in a couple of minutes with her revisions. Then the jury's going to come in. They will give the jury the new instructions, and then we should be out of here. Believe it or not, it's already been 50 minutes. We've been on the air for 50 minutes. They started a couple minutes beforehand.
Guilty of manslaughter and OVI. OWI or whatever. Not murder. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the second one.
Yeah. I don't think they could have ever convicted her of murder.
Well, there's still a chance that they do, but it's second-degree murder. It's not first-degree murder.
Yeah.
That means she doesn't necessarily have to have been motivated to out-and-out kill, but she did. Her actions caused the death of someone else.
Like I've always said, if she had just stopped and helped him and taken the accident, whatever, manslaughter, vehicular, whatever, she'd be out of jail. Who knows?
Or if she had even just called 911.
Yeah, he'd be alive.
She had the opportunity.
Possibly. Yep.
Instead of calling Jen McCabe, instead of calling everyone else, instead of calling John 40 times, she should have just called 911 if she really thought he was dead in a snowbank. I mean, that's simple.
Yeah. My boyfriend's missing. I don't know where he is. I'm scared. He may be injured. Can you help look for him? None of that happened.
Instead of, hello, John! John's dead in a snowbank! He was hit by a plow! What? Okay. So again, folks, we will be back once this resolves. If there is no verdict today, we will be back at 4 o'clock for the closeout of the day. If there is a verdict, we will be back immediately. Just stay tuned to either our YouTube notifications, or for those on Twitter, just follow our name over there. Right now, we are following the Karen Reed case. We also have updates tonight, 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern. Oh wow! Thank you, Merb, for the $50 super chat.
Wow.
Free Coke Dog.
No.
Also, thanks for the documents.
No.
So, we can subtract 10 days from Coke Dogs.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Merb. Thank you, Mr. Merb. I will be sure to note. Touche, take 10 5. That is 10 days off, but then add 3 days because we had 3 $5 super chats last night, if I'm doing the math correctly. And again, we are on, this is not a verdict, this is just jury questions. Judge Bev will be back in a minute or two. Then the jury will be coming in with the new instructions. Hey, Merv is a chaos agent. He's out to stir things up. And Coke Dogs, the beloved Coke Dogs return. Of course, thank you, Sathale, for countering Merv by gifting 10 really cool memberships. Good Lord. Let me just pull that up so I can read the names off. Those memberships went to Benjamin, Eugenie, Wendy Williams enters the chat, Brian C., Texas Gal Farm Life, Providence of Tea, Body Booty Starfish, Kevin, Tad Gibson got one for like the 5th straight month. He got one. And Misinformed Dave. Thank you again, Sathale, for the 10 gifted memberships. So, Touche, if you're listening, add 10, so we're up. The 10 from Merv is countered by this 10, but we're up 3 overall because we had previous $5 super chats last night while you were not here. Touche. Again, I do not keep count because I am biased, as Coke Dog is the most wonderful little doggy on earth. And we miss him every day, don't we, Gia? By her silence,
No.
Gia is saying
No.
yes.
And
Yes,
no.
yes.
No.
Yes, he's a sweet little doggy. In fact, we even have, while we're waiting, and this usually, whenever we play this song, it usually prompts Judge Bev to jump back in. I don't know, but we do have a little song about Coke Dog.
Coke Dog's tail wagging high in the air, rocket strapped tight, no time to spare. Eyes wide open, barking at the sky. Moon rocks calling, gotta give it a try. Blast off, baby, fire trails behind. Stars in his eyes and a one-track mind. Through the cosmos with a house so loud. Moon dust dreams, he's feeling so proud. Coke Dog flying to the moon tonight. Snoring moon rocks under pale starlight. He's a hound on a mission, chasing that thrill. Lunar sniffing legend with a dog-eared will.
And that is Coke Dog on the Moon by Justin Blue Ridge. Thank you, Justin Blue Ridge, for sending that in honor of our beloved Coke Dog, who has been banned from the show for a little under 3 years. And that is part of our ongoing drive to keep the newspaper funded and the channel funded for the next year. While we do make a little bit of money off of YouTube each month, this keeps the paper going, keeps us in documents, and more importantly, personal disclosure, it keeps me fed and the electricity on. So every donation helps keep us going until I'm going back to work sometime in the future. That said, oh, good Lord, poor Coke Dog. And the Coke Dog Drive continues until the end of the month. We've also, as part of the drive, we have given up various fast food locations for a little over the next 5 years. So yes, you can torment me as I cannot have Popeyes, Taco Bell, Jimmy John's, Arby's. I'm gonna get teary-eyed over the whole list here. But yeah, Touche has joined me on that one, and Popeville has been banned by his wife from going to Subway along with us. So that list includes, let me just take a look here. I've been banned from Burger King, Popeyes, Subway, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Long John Silver's, Arby's, Jimmy John's, and KFC. And again, we are waiting for Judge Bev to come back with her official jury instructions, as they had questions this morning. NC asks, but was he banned on the run? And did Paul McCartney try to intervene? Well, that's funny. Coke Dog was accidentally blasted to space and then blasted apart by the dear Hank. Paul McCartney was on the next space shuttle up, but they've banned the flights for the rescue missions for some strange reason. So Coke Dog, or the pieces of Coke Dog, are somewhere floating around Uranus, according to Hank. For those looking for something to do, we have a new news article up this morning on Jeremiah Payne's latest outrage. The Tennessee-based auditor got thrown off of a RTA bus and is claiming racism. He says the bus driver, who was black, was discriminating against he and his family because they were white and not due to the fact that his wife refused to sit down while the bus was in operation. He, of course, said that the bus driver would be going viral because of this, and his video has seen a little under 200 views since the weekend. We also had an article on, or a news story on, Frauditor Troll being sued for copyright claims by Denver Metro Audits. We did a decent write-up of it, if I must say so myself, over the YouTube area. We do have comments from DMA's lawyer in the comments field of that one. He spent some time taking questions from our audience on his own yesterday, responding, that is, to those questions. If you want to check it out, just check out our Really Cool News channel over on YouTube. Getting back to the Pains, Sathael says, unless the bus was so full that it was standing room only, why wouldn't you want to sit anyway? Sathael, according to the Pains, the wife, Samantha, has a back injury and she cannot sit down on the hard seats. That's what they're saying. Now, according to the guidelines of the RTA, you can't do that. You must remain seated while the bus is in operation. You also cannot use profanity against the driver, as Jeremiah Payne told her to F off multiple times.
My
as
God.
the justification to kick him off the bus for that.
Was the kid with him?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, Jeremiah doesn't care. He has the kids swear half the time. The kids' homeschooling consists of walking around various cities in Tennessee holding signs saying F the police. She's 7 years old. I don't think she's done one day of actual school.
Why do they still have her?
Because CPS has investigated and not given a darn. When she's literally walking on the side of the highway with her parents half the day.
Parents?
Well,
Don't
the
use
two
that word.
humans responsible for her.
2 walking POSs holding a kid.
Merb's question is, how do you know she's not being homeschooled? Well, there's no evidence of it, and the fact is that they literally don't have a home to go back to right now. They are walking the sides of the road all day long. They could be teaching her at night, I guess, but it's unlikely, seeing the circumstances that they've been in and the insistence of doing these daily protests. Why do I distrust their fun? Okay. I told you he was a chaos agent. Uh, Mainly because you see it. You see one version of the story on their videos and another version apparently on what they're telling the CPS. Can we say that we're talking about things not in evidence? Yeah, we can. But fact is, we have concerns about that kid and the danger that she may be in. I mean, I wouldn't let my kid do that, but my kid's my nephew. He rarely leaves the house as I rarely leave the house. Again, we're at and that okay, Merv is asking, saying, I have dealt with CPS multiple times. They, in my experience, err on the side of protecting the child. Well, then it's hard to explain how they would let this situation continue, where the kid literally is either in a red rider wagon being pulled on the side of the road all day, or sitting there yelling profanity at the police officers. So I don't know what the Tennessee standards are, but they're allowing it to happen. NC says Merb 31st depends a lot on where for how good CPS is, but listening to those two say anything, they don't show a ton of education. And we again, for those tuning in, we are waiting for Judge Bev to come back with her instructions to the jury. They had three questions in the Karen Reed murder trial case. Number one, what was the time? Actually, number one was what was the time of the time frame for the OBI charge. Number two, can her video statements be taken as evidence? And number three, on count two, where there are subcounts, if convicting her of a subcount is the same as convicting her of the overall count. I didn't say their kids should be taken away because I don't like them. Maya Koopa. Okay, Herb. That's actually putting statements in my mouth. But we can agree to disagree on that. Again, Merb is a chaos agent. Well, thank you for clarifying, Merb, but and we again are waiting for Judge Bev to come back. She's been a little over the 5 minutes. She said she needed to do revisions. The jury will be brought in and the instructions will be given. Then we're coming right back. Deliberations will continue after that. Should a verdict be reached, we'll be back with you earlier, but we do have a live scheduled at 4 o'clock at the end of the day their time. And again, we'll be back for our general show tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock where it counts, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, and actually 6 o'clock Mountain Time and 5 o'clock on the West Coast. Tonight we'll either be discussing the verdict or we will be viewing drunk girl videos, one of the two, or both. It really depends on what's going on tonight. The judge at the start of the day made it a specific plea for the defense to be here on time at 4 o'clock today. So if the jurors want to go home at 4, they can go home a little after 4. And yes, our YouTube is getting quite strange in the side chat. Thank you for the levity, folks. It does sound like the audio has come back on in the courtroom, so something's about to happen. Or not. Lieutenant Fan, Lieutenant Fan is on screen right now. And they're starting to shake the camera, so something may be going on. And here we go.
All right. All right, so we can bring the jurors over. Tori, do you have those? So Tony will take those. All right, so I'll take, thank you. Tori, how many did you make?
Good morning, Facebook Karen.
I think Brennan's feeling pretty confident right now.
I hope so.
All rise for court, please. Jurors entering. Court is back in session. You may be seated.
All right, jurors, we're in receipt of your question. We've been working on making sure that the answers we give you are the right ones, so it's taken us a while. So the first question, what is the time frame for the OUI charge? Offense 002, Section 5, OUI at 12:45 or OUI at 5 a.m.? The answer to that question is that you folks have all the evidence. And remember, it's only you who decide the facts in this case. All right, that's the answer to that question. You are the fact finders. The second question, are video clips of Karen's interviews evidence? How can we consider them? Yes, the videos are evidence. You should weigh the defendant's statements in the videos as you would any other piece of evidence and give them whatever weight you deem appropriate. But first, before you may consider any such statement, you're going to have to make a preliminary determination whether it can be considered as evidence. You may not consider any such statement in your deliberations for the truth of any such statement unless, from all the evidence in the case, the Commonwealth has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant made the statement that she's alleged to have made and that she made it voluntarily, freely, and rationally. So that's the answer to that question. So for the third question, does convicting guilty on a subcharge, example offense 2 number 5, convict the overall charge? So with that, what I'm going to do is I have amended the verdict slip. It's the exact same verdict slip, and it's still consistent with the jury instructions I gave you, but it's a little bit easier for you to follow. And for purposes of going through this, we'll go through it together, and I've got a copy for each one of you, okay? All right, so you'll see it really is the same verdict slip, but we've added a little bit of language to help you follow it through. So the first charge, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. So first, in the above entitled case, we say the defendant is, 1, not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense. If you find the defendant not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser included offense, stop and sign the verdict slip. Now, then you go on to guilty of the offense of as charged, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor. Check one or both of the following: manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor and or manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. If you find the defendant guilty of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, stop and sign the verdict slip. That means on each one, when you stop and sign the verdict slip, that means you have a verdict on this indictment. So stop and sign the verdict slip. If you find her not guilty of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, then continue below to the lesser included offense. And first, under 3 is involuntary manslaughter. If you find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter, stop and sign the verdict slip. If you find her not guilty of involuntary manslaughter, then continue to the next page. Guilty of the lesser included offense of motor vehicle homicide, felony OUI liquor, and negligence. And you have to check one or both of the following: motor vehicle homicide under the influence of liquor and or motor vehicle homicide by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. If you find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of motor vehicle homicide, felony OUI liquor, and negligence, stop and sign the verdict slip. If you find her not guilty of motor vehicle homicide under the influence of liquor, then continue below to the guilty of the lesser included offense operating under the influence. And you check one or both of the following: operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor and or operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. If you find the defendant guilty of operating a motor vehicle under the influence of liquor, then stop. If you find the defendant guilty, you stop and you sign the verdict slip. If you find the defendant not guilty on this offense and all other offenses, check the first box on page 1. And remember, your decision must be unanimous. All right, does that make it any clearer, hopefully? All right, so with that, I am going to send you back out.
Before the jurors are sent,
Sure, why don't you come on over?
Sidebar.
Sidebar number 2 for today.
And there is no flavor as Phil has left the country.
Yeah, Phil is on the run from the EPA and the FDA for the storage and the alleged offenses involved in their investigation. The less we say about it, the better. All I know is we are not affiliated with Phil's production of said sidebars, and any claims must be made against Phil directly.
This, and I'm glad counsel told me I did. So if you go back and look at the form after 4, if you find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of motor vehicle homicide, felony, OUI, liquor, and negligence, stop and sign the verdict slip. If you find her not guilty of motor vehicle homicide under the influence of liquor, then continue below. I think I said, then find, I don't know what I said. I heard myself read the guilty of the lesser included offense. So if you find her not guilty of motor vehicle homicide under the influence of liquor, then you continue to decide whether the Commonwealth has proven to you beyond a reasonable doubt that she's guilty of operating under the influence of liquor. And if they have not, and if you find the defendant not guilty on this offense and all other offenses, then you go back and check the first box. So you follow it from the top to the bottom in this manner. Okay? Thank you very much. We're going to release you.
Okay, we're going to hang out for a second, see what they do here. Again, if they don't have a verdict today, we'll be back with you at 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern time to wrap up the day. If they do have a verdict, we will jump in like we did with this.
Jury's exited the courtroom. Please be seated.
Are you satisfied, Ms. Giannetti?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to ask everybody to stay a few minutes. I'll be back out in about 5 minutes.
Okay, we've got another 5-minute break. She's asked everyone to stay. We've got an interesting post by Turtle Boy during the break. Turtle Boy tweets, ready for this one? Under no circumstance should Karen Reed be convicted of drinking and driving after Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, and Matt McCabe all testified that they were also drinking and driving that night.
Yeah, but they didn't hit anybody.
And they're not on trial. Karen Reed is. So that is an interesting comment by Turtle Boy. No, she's not guilty if they're all not guilty. But again, I think that she's the only one charged for it right now. And would, if any of the three were actually charged for that night, would they also be innocent if Karen Reed is found guilty? Or it gets complicated fast when you do that kind of logic.
Is there anything on the books for Turtle Boy?
For what?
For his witness intimidation?
I don't think they've set a trial date for his witness intimidation charges.
Until this is over.
Yeah, until this is over.
Yeah.
And I think what they've been, the allegations are there that they've been holding it in case he wants to take a plea deal and come out against Karen. But it's a little too late for that, as we're obviously in the jury deliberations. So he lost his chance at that time. And I don't think he's big enough of a target for them to offer her a deal to turn on Turtle Boy. Again, folks, we're hanging out because Judge Bev asked everyone to stay in the courtroom for 5 minutes. Jury has been sent back to deliberate. They had 3 questions for the judge in the case. Number 1, what was the time frame of the OVI offense? Number 2, can Karen Reed's video statements be used as evidence or be considered evidence? And number 3, if on count number 2, which has multiple charges, if they find her guilty of a lesser charge, is she also guilty of the main charge? She gave instructions on all 3. Number 1, the time frame was whatever they determine it to be, as they are the finders of the facts in this case. Number 2, yes, it can come into it is evidence. And number 3, she just instructed that no, if you're found guilty of only the lesser charge, they're only guilty of that lesser charge. And every sidebar again.
Have they talked about security yet?
They have not.
Yeah. She mentioned that they need to talk about that after the verdict. Maybe that's something she's got cooking.
I do think that this is still a bad sign for the defense that they are even asking about convicting. Looks like, and Turtle Boy is in. You can see his smiling face. Directly in front of you, almost dead center of the screen. He is looking directly at the camera. He is the short man in a blue shirt behind a PC for once. If you see the heavy set guard, there's a man in a purplish shirt. I can't talk all of a sudden. There's a man in a purplish shirt with brown hair. The man next to him is Turtle Boy, Aiden Kearney. Kearney is currently facing multiple witness intimidation charges, felony counts, based on his alleged activities during the first trial, or surrounding the first trial in this case.
I thought they weren't supposed to be tweeting from court.
They can now. I think that only applied to the first court. He ignored that anyway. But he does have a big smile on his face. And he does keep looking straight back at the camera. Kearney, of course, was... During the opening statements, he had his crotch present over the shoulder of Alan Jackson during the complete opening statement. His man spread was on display for everyone to see. Front row, and the lady directly to the right side of the screen, again, 2 over, is Peggy O'Keefe, the victim's mother. Her son, I believe, is one of the 2 bald men I just can't see on this screen. Apologize for that, folks. Her remaining son is in the courtroom. Over on the far left side of the screen, the man with a resemblance to Mr. Burns from The Simpsons is Karen Reed's father. Her mother is in green. Her brother is in the back row, closest to the thin security guard who just looked at the camera.
Oh, is that the... No. Is that the Lexus dealer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe he works somewhere else now, too. I think he changed jobs.
I wonder why. This trial has just been incredible.
Well, it's been 2 years.
Well,
2
all of
years
it,
just
I
for the
mean.
trials, 3 years since the alleged murder took place.
I've got a case near me that happened on my birthday.
Right.
5 years ago.
Oh,
This month.
geez.
It still hasn't gone to trial. A kid drove the wrong way, head on, at 100 miles an hour, and killed a woman.
Oh, man.
Yep. Comes from a wealthy family. He fled to Montana. They found him.
All right, so we'll see everybody at 1:30.
Fled to
Okay.
Montana. They've. on-
Judge
Go ahead.
Judge Bev said they were coming back at 1:30. That's about an hour and a half away. We're going to take a break from coverage. We will be monitoring. If they do indeed come back on camera, we'll be going live again in about an hour. Otherwise, if they don't, we'll be back with you either when the verdict is reached or the 4 o'clock close time today, as Judge Bev has asked everyone to be back in time for 4 o'clock.
Is Murph
With that,
still in here?
he is inside chat, yes.
Okay. It's Luke Fitch. LUKEFITCH. Murder. Orange County Superior Court. Look it up.
Okay. With that, we're out of here. We'll be back because I don't really want to look at the pink Karens again.
Me neither.
Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, Merb, for the super chat. Thank you, Sathale, for the counter 10 gifted memberships. And the Coke Dog saga continues.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, remember, we'll be back either at 1:30 or 4 o'clock. We'll talk to you then.